Hi, Dr. Duffin.
Hello.
We're teaching Brooklyn how to cut an onion. And
Wait, should we put it right here?
yeah, it might be easier. So at least you can see the onion. Now, can the onion be seen? Slay high. Okay. So first, I want you to show me how you cut this onion without any kind of anything from me. You just cut that onion in the normal way that you cut an onion normally.
Okay.
So if you were to be in your house, and we weren't
Do I
thinking
like
specifically,
actually do it? Like with the knife?
cut the onion, preferably into a dice. We're not looking for slices here.
Okay.
But you just cut the onion however you would if you were to be in your home and making something with an onion.
Okay. Now my hands are gonna smell.
This doesn't pertain to it, but if you freeze the onion beforehand, you'll be able to not have your eyes water as much.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Because it doesn't release the toxins out of the cell wall if it's frozen as much. I mean, obviously it's going to go a little bit, but...
So we're gonna peel it. Oh, you're right here.
To what extent are we peeling this onion? This
To
doesn't
make
have
sure
to-
all the skin is off.
Okay. How do you know all the skin's off?
Because it's a different color.
Just like, okay. I'm just asking questions because I have some stuff that I have to write, so. Keep peeling that onion. I'm probably gonna have to go on here and like speed it up and be like, it's gonna be.
Oh, there's peels everywhere.
That's okay. We can speak after. I don't have a broom, but I'll feed it out.
This is taking forever.
That's okay. Take your time. How do you currently feel about like your ability to like efficiently cut an onion?
I think it's really bad. It like falls apart and stuff, and I just like hack it.
So you don't? Do you feel like you usually have rhyme or reason or no rhyme or reason, or like give me like your process?
Well, most of the time, my mom, whenever she's like, cut the onion, and it's like such a chore because I cry.
I'm sorry.
And I have a negative mindset on cutting onions,
That's okay.
and I'm gonna have my hands smell like onions now.
So on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being I absolutely do not know how to cut an onion in any kind of way, and I do not feel confident about cutting such onion. To 5 being I'm like the onion cutting master and I feel great about it. How do you feel? Like
Probably like
before
a
we start?
3.
Okay, the middle.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like I can cut the onion, but it's just not going to be adequate.
I hear you.
Oh my gosh, the skin. Hello.
Staring at Dr. Duffin's soul.
Ooh. Oops, I did it again. Oh my gosh.
Why are we? Oh my gosh.
This is skin.
That's fair. That's valid.
Did never finish. Okay.
So walk me through what you're saying if you can, verbally, while you are cutting the onion in the way that you normally would at any other time.
I would just go like this and be like.
So we're cutting into slices going around the onion. Is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing. Okay. I smell onion.
This is gonna be really bad. This is gonna be embarrassing.
That's okay. You all start somewhere.
I feel like this is like how you make like a blooming onion.
That is fair. I don't know how they make blooming onions, but I would assume that it has something to do with this. Hello, onion. Okay, so the onion has starting to break it apart a little bit. We're going around the root. Please be careful.
Trust.
Do you?
Alright, I feel like that's good.
Okay. And we're looking for a dice here. So if you were going to be dicing the onion at home, do you mind showing me?
Yeah. Like.
Please watch your fingers. Okay. So do you mind telling me what we're doing here? Okay, we got some dices.
Shop it.
We got some dices.
like just making little squares.
Mm-hmm.
This is really bad. This is so humbling.
No, you're fine.
Oh my gosh, this feels weird. I have like a
We have a
hangnails.
sink here. You need it. There's paper towels.
Okay. So yeah, we just like do it, like cutting.
Do you feel like this cutting board is stable or no?
It's like moving.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just like.
I hear you. Okay. I maybe should have got a plate or something to put our excess onions on. I don't think anybody in our floor is going to be using said onion, and I hate to waste it, but like it's really not going to go anywhere. So we've taken a big slice.
That's really bad.
That's okay. That's fine.
I need help.
So we're just kind of going randomly.
Yeah.
So your first step was going around, cutting notches in a circular motion, and then once that fell apart, you're just kind of looking at it and seeing where it needs dice.
Maybe I shouldn't be teaching culinary.
You're fine. Okay.
Like,
So, do you feel that? Are we at your final steps? Do we have more longer to go? Like,
oh, there's some
how
skin.
are we feeling?
I feel like we're good. I feel like it's very.
Is this what your onions would look like in like your home setting?
Yeah, and then my
Right,
mom
then-
would scream at me and be like, "You're not doing it right." Sorry, I'm trauma dumping.
Okay. So, sorry, I'm not supposed to be doing that. Do you mind putting these onions in the trash can in whatever method you sound like?
Yeah.
Well, when you think about, analyze this onion for me in terms of what it looks like, maybe how it grows, how it's formed,
Well,
anything
this is
like
like
that.
the roots, and so
Okay.
it holds it all together. Like
Okay.
this whole thing comes from this.
Right.
So I think this holds it together, and this up here, it's like kind of like the stem, maybe. But this all holds it all together. That's why we have the little roots right here.
Yeah, that's what it grows from.
So I don't think I should separate it from it.
Okay. I'm just following you. So when we're thinking about this onion, we also have the skin around it. Can we think of any method that might be a little bit quicker in getting that off besides going itty bitty pieces?
Not really. Like,
Because we don't have to worry about the skin itself. So whenever you're doing it, can you describe what we're doing?
I'm like trying to see if I can like twist this and like lift it.
So we're using a little bit more force than we were before.
Yeah. I was just trying to be like all girly last time. Like so like girly pop.
Why are we using more force this time?
Because maybe if I use more force, these pieces will stay together.
I hear you.
Yeah, I think it's working
Slime.
because I have my clump of big pieces right here.
Instead of itty bitty little patchworks.
Yeah. See?
Okay.
And it's peeled.
So, can you identify which end is what for me?
This is the root
Okay, why?
because there's roots.
Slime.
And this is like where the skin is like held and stuff.
So, what ends of this do we think are important, not important?
I don't think this is very important, but I
Okay.
think this is important.
Concluding off of that, what do you think we should do next?
Maybe cut this off and then cut it down the middle so it, like at least it stays together.
Okay.
So yeah. And then
So, what do you think cutting off the stem has done?
I don't know for real.
Tell me what that looks like.
An onion.
Okay. Well, if you were to describe the top end of that onion to someone who could not visually see it, how would you
It's
describe
flat.
it? Okay. And being flat does what?
Makes it easier to cut. So hold on. Maybe if hold this together.
Shout out to my Walmart knife. Maybe not the best quality.
And
but.
see, these aren't falling apart.
Okay, so considering and observing what we did with the, give me a second, let me think. So considering what we observed about the stem end and how it was flat, what do you think we should do from here on out in order to have the most stable cutting base?
Keep it face down like this. Like, keep it flat.
Okay. Okay, so before we move any further, we have 2 onions that are flat and they are cut half-wise through the root.
Yes.
Why do you think, give me your thinking in cutting it in this manner?
Because there's still like the root right here and stuff, and so these are still all connected.
Okay.
And then you have this over here, and these are still all connected.
Okay.
So
Keep in mind that we do have other onions, so from this point outwards, if we feel like we need to redo it or anything like that, trial and error is A-okay.
okay. I
so
think
we have this root, right?
Mhm.
And we've concluded that it holds together. So going forward, what do we want to make sure not to do?
break the root.
Okay. So in seeing this, we're wanting dices. How is a dice? Tell me what a dice looks like. If you were to see a
Like-
diced piece of onion, what does it look like?
Very like. No, that's like huge.
I'm not asking a trick question, by the way.
Like kind of like squares.
Okay. So how many sides do we have whenever we think about a dice or a square, cube, onion, anything along that manner?
4,
Okay.
like 4,
So
5.
in seeing that it has multiple sides, what can we conclude?
I don't know.
Thinking about process in terms of how we get to a final product,
Yeah.
seeing that there's multiple sides, we can conclude what about the cuts?
It should be even.
Okay.
And like they should be in square shapes and stuff. Like
Okay. How do you think we're going about making these square shapes?
kind of like going like this and then going like this.
Okay. And up until now, our whole goal is to make sure that we cut this onion as efficiently as possible.
Mhm.
So seeing what you did last time, tell me what you think maybe went wrong last
Well, I
time.
was like,
Okay, so we're just going about it without any thought or process. That's the first thing. And then secondly, whenever you cut your onion last time, what do you think made it hard to cut it efficiently? What do you think happened?
I like separated the stuff.
Okay, so we want to try and like keep our onion together as much as possible. So in doing so, oh, this is hard without showing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's make a basic list of to-dos here.
Yes.
Ooh, my computer. List number 1, we figured that we don't want to cut the root.
Yeah.
List number 2, we don't want to have the whole onion fall apart before we're finally done cutting it.
Yeah.
Okay. List number 3, we're wanting a dice, meaning there's multiple sides, and because there's multiple sides, we can assume what happened.
They'll like the root will eventually have to come apart and stuff.
Yes, but what else?
We're gonna have to cut in different directions. I don't know.
Okay, yes. So considering we're cutting in multiple directions, how many do we think we're going to be having? A lot of cuts, a few cuts?
Multiple.
Okay. So we have our onion, just so we can see it. So we have our root. And the first thing when we think about a square is, since we do have multiple cuts, we can start going in one direction. So however you shall like, whether it be horizontal, vertical, diagonal, cut in whatever direction you shall like to start with in order to make a dice.
Okay.
Keep in mind that we want this onion to stay together.
This will fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
This will fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
This is a hard one.
It's okay. We have multiple onions for you to go through. We also have another half, so you do.
Okay.
It's okay to try and fail.
Sorry, my foot is like getting blown up right now. I feel like. I'll just do this.
Tell me how you feel about this. Do you think cutting this is going to go efficiently in the future or not efficiently?
I don't know. It's a toss-up because the middle is separated.
So what do we notice about that half of the onion in comparison to the half that you have not cut yet?
It's cut in half.
Okay, well, besides that.
I don't know.
I'm asking simple observations. It's not a trick question.
I don't know. Like, it's the structural integrity is different now.
We'll use big words.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you were to go ahead and continue on, let's leave this half alone. Let's focus on this half. If you were to continue on cutting this, show me what you would do in order to make it nice, and walk me through it as you're going.
Okay. I would go. Yep, it's falling apart. Probably go like this, even though it is apart. You want to go like. Oh my gosh.
So what do we think is going good about this? What do we think is going bad? Neutral?
It's like all separating.
How does that affect cutting it?
It's harder to get those even cuts.
Because it is what?
Falling apart.
Okay. So we've noticed about this cut in summarizing what you said, that whenever you were cutting it, it wasn't staying together.
Yeah.
And it was making it hard, therefore, to cut it into a dice afterwards. So let's maybe take this off the cutting board so we have more space to work with.
Okay.
And let's work with that other half of the onion, since we have a good starting point. So we've realized numero uno is not cut that root, and we've cut it in half through the root.
Yeah.
So this half, sorry, I wasn't very. Oh, actually, let's start this one.
Okay.
So we noticed that whenever we cut it, in the way that we cut it last time looked like what? Walk me through what your first cut was last time.
Like this.
Okay. And with this cut, describe the length, depth, anything like that. You can give me more details.
Well, we separated this from like the bottom part down here. So this doesn't have as much stability as up here. Like that.
And we realized that the root does what?
Holds it together.
Okay. So when cutting it next time, is there any way we can make sure that the root somehow keeps it together?
Not cut off this end.
Show me what you mean. You can do it this one. We have another onion. We got a whole bag here.
Yeah. Not cut off right here.
Why?
I think it holds it together.
Does the stem end or the root end hold it together?
The root.
Okay.
So this is the root right here.
So we want to make sure we don't cut off what? Let's start,
This.
just for cohesiveness sake, let's start with the vertical cut since that's what you started with last time.
Okay.
So we realized that we don't want to do what with the root?
Cut it down some. Or like, just like break its integrity.
So what do you think would be a good way to cut this based on the fact that we want to keep the root with the onion that you're cutting?
I don't know. I'm lost
It's
here.
okay. So we have the vertical cut, right? And we're starting with that. So we're doing a vertical cut. And we have the root. if we want to continue cutting this so that the whole onion stays together, but we've cut it, what do you think we should do?
Should we try diagonal? No,
let's stay with vertical since we started with vertical. It's okay. We're learning.
Oh, I did not mean to cut it down wrong.
That's okay. It's still mildly together. Oh no, you got it!
Oh my gosh.
I like where we were going.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep this to the side.
Okay.
And let's start with another onion and get it back to the point that you just started at.
Okay.
You're doing great. You got it. If I could tell you what to do, it'd be a lot easier. But we're learning. And I'm proud of you for it. We're slaying.
We ain't got no cheating in here. I'm gonna reach my zone of proximal development. For sure.
I like hearing it.
Hold on. I wonder if I can
I like that we're testing things. I like that we're going on without asking me anything. I think we're slaying.
These are the tiny pieces again, but we can't all be perfect.
So we realized that last time whenever we were peeling the onion that it was okay to use a little bit of force. So keep that in mind as you go to peel it. Because we realized, like Shrek said, onions have what?
Layers.
So if you peel it off with a little bit of force, there's going to be some more layers underneath of it.
Yeah.
Is my camera still going? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
These onions are not very oniony. Are your eyes watering? It's fun having it. Onions have layers.
I'm like ripping away a lot of the onion.
That's okay. We're focused on cutting it based off of its anatomy. We're not focused on saving as much of the onion as possible. If you were to be going a little bit slower and paying a little more attention to detail, you can assume that you wouldn't be peeling as much of it. But it's an onion, so it's okay to take off a few layers.
Yeah.
Whenever I end up cutting onions, I usually end up taking off a few too many layers in hopes that I get all the skin, just to make sure.
There we go.
So what was our first step last time after we got the skin off? Verbalize what you're talking.
Cut this off.
What is this?
The stem.
Okay.
There we go.
Slay. First step done. What do we do after that?
We went like this.
Okay. And what are we doing by doing this?
We're cutting it in half.
Okay.
I wonder. No, because that's not going to keep it. Will this keep it together?
I don't know. Will it? What keeps it together?
No, never mind. I don't want to. This is flat, so I'm supposed to cut it like this.
Yeah. Because flat makes it what?
Easier to cut.
Because it is what?
Flat.
And being flat makes it what?
Easier.
God. It's okay. It's not that important. Okay, so we're back to where we started. And we started with vertical cuts on the last time.
Mm-hmm.
So show me what you were going to do last time before it went maybe a little bit awry.
I was going to go like this and not cut all the way down. So.
Okay.
We'll try that.
Just watch your thumb there.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking at this onion before we cut any further, what do we notice?
It's still together.
Yeah.
But there's a little hole.
Okay. So we can continue doing what then?
The same thing I was just doing.
Oh, see? Trial and error. It's a very thick onion.
Yeah.
And then finish just making all the vertical cuts you will like. The number doesn't matter here.
Well, if I'm dicing it, then doesn't it?
Well, it can be a large dice. It's whatever's size dice you would like. But we do know that a square is what in terms of how it looks like dimensionally.
Yeah, it's 4 sides.
That are what?
Cubes.
The sides are what in relation?
Equal.
Okay. So, in theory, whenever we're cutting this onion, how, in terms of the amount of vertical slices we are currently making, what would we like to do? Just try and make them what?
Even.
Yeah. That way we have what?
Even sides.
Yeah!
Okay.
Okay, before we go any further, tell me what this onion looks like.
It's still together.
Yeah, because we have not done what?
Broken the stem.
By doing what?
Cutting it all the way down.
Okay, cool. So we've learned that in vertical cutting, if we do not cut all the way through, then the pieces stay together.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we go to make this dice, what is our next type of cut do you think we should make?
Horizontal.
Okay. Seeing that in the vertical cuts, we did what?
We didn't go all the way down.
What do you think we should do with the horizontal cuts?
Not go all the way down.
Okay. So we want a flat base, and we have our flat base.
Mm-hmm.
And just for safety's sake, whenever we do this, we just want to make sure that we do not have our fingers in the way of cutting horizontally.
So you just hold it like
You
this.
can hold it flat with the palm of your hand,
And then
or
go
you can
across.
hold it like this using the crab.
Okay.
It's whatever way feels more stable to you, but since we have it on a flat surface, we have done what?
Making it stable.
Okay, so we're making horizontal cuts.
Like this.
You might move your hand, sorry, I just can't see well. So making horizontal cuts, what do we do with these vertical pieces in terms of, tell me what these vertical pieces have done, what they look like, how many you made, like.
They're like almost equal.
Okay, slay.
But they're in a straight line and stuff.
Okay, so with our horizontal cut, we want to make sure we have some of the same ideas of what we've done with this vertical cut, which can include.
Equal.
Because we're making a dice, so we know we want sides that are around the same.
Yeah.
So in order to make sure that we have multiple horizontal cuts, just keep that in mind whenever you're going about cutting this.
Okay.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's definitely a skill. It takes some practice. Just go slow and take your time.
This is so painful for me to do.
Why?
Because I know that it's bad. But
No. Considering we've gotten to this point, I would say you're doing pretty good. So I'm not telling you what to do. You're figuring it out. Deduction. Okay, do you mind after that cut is done, do you mind letting me see what you're doing?
I don't know. I'm just like sawing it.
This knife is not good. Sorry. If I had a better knife, this would be a lot easier. So, seeing what we're done here,
Should I hold it up like this?
you can try, yes, it's whatever makes you feel like it is more stable.
Okay.
But we want to make sure that we do what whenever we're making these cuts.
Make them even.
Besides that.
Make them dice.
Besides that.
Keep them together.
Yes.
Because I want to go like this, but that would break it apart.
Mm-hmm. So by going in that angle, we're doing what?
Keeping them together, maybe?
Yeah.
This is really hard.
It is.
I'm going to like cut my finger open.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, these are not. Well, these are kind of staying together, but like,
It's a difficult thing to
this
do.
is not getting.
Realize that you don't have to make really, really small cuts just because it might be a little bit harder to keep it together here.
Okay.
So even making 2 horizontal cuts will still keep this thing together, but still give you a dice at the end.
Okay.
Just watch your film there. It's definitely something to get used to. It's difficult. Just watch your fingers. Okay, slay. Careful.
Oh, yeah. There we go. It's still together.
Slay.
For the most
So
part.
what do we have here?
2 sides. Or
Okay.
we just have to kind of go like this now.
So what do you think So since we're at this point, and we can assume that different cuts make a dice, what do you think we need to do next in order to release this onion and make it have the dice points out? We've gone vertical. We've gone horizontal.
Diagonal?
Maybe not diagonal. Let's stick with vertical
Like
and
this.
horizontal cuts. You can do as you wish. We'll see what happens. Just make sure you don't cut your fingers. What are we noticing as we cut this?
They're all coming together. Like, that's what I'm
Slide.
saying. Like, they're all falling
How do we feel about this cutting technique in comparison to where we first started?
better. Like,
Why?
I feel like it's easier to cut and it's a quicker way. Maybe, once you learn how to do it.
Look at these dice. Those are looking like cubes to me. If we had a better knife, a longer knife that was made for this, and maybe, okay, let's think about this here. There we go. So we're holding it. There we go. Just take your time.
Yeah, it's like,
So let's take a little break here and figure out how to best do it from this point. So we've realized, look at these dice. Look at this cube. Oh, we have a cube. And we've realized that whenever we cut it, it's a lot easier to stay together for you. So in looking at this, we got the easy part of this onion cut, but now we're getting to the point, where we're getting closer to this root, and the sides are starting to flare out a little bit. We're still connected, but they're starting to flare. This is where just like personal preference comes in.
I don't think anyone needs a whole onion to be right.
We do like flatness, so whatever way you can put this to make you feel like it's flat, stable, it really is personal preference.
Yeah. Because it's like,
And you can hold together the sides, hold it at the root, hold it at whatever method you shall like. What?
nothing. I'm like, I don't want to cut my fingers.
It's okay if it starts to flare out a little bit. That's naturally what an onion's going to do. You can't, while you can cut it in a certain way at the beginning to make sure it stays together, it's still staying together to a certain extent, but it's going to start to flare just because it's lost a lot of the onion. So that's okay. It's hot in here. I'm opening this door.
Smells like hot onions in here.
There we go. This is right here. Slide. And just keep going however you shall like. Do you think it's working?
Yeah. Hold on.
Slide.
I'm going to cut all of those in half.
Look at that. Look at them dices.
We have arrived at the zone of proximal development. Let's go.
So with this, just because it's not going to be able to stay together anymore just because you've cut certain parts of it, and that's naturally going to happen. But tell me what these pieces look like into you in reference to maybe when you started.
More concise.
Okay. How do you feel about their shape and size in relation to each other?
I think they look pretty good.
And from this point, just because I want to do something, you can just hold together certain parts of it and cut it. And then, when we've arrived at the root, we're good. So, I want to do this just one more time to see where we started. I think that we're throwing away all this onion, but we're not going to use it.
We could have made like spaghetti or something.
We could have.
Fried onions, but
Could have. Caramelize them, make sweet onions.
yeah.
Okay.
But we're college students. Who thinks of that? Silly goose.
We have the half of the onion that she originally cut, starting the next trial. So we're at a good starting point. Show me how, seeing the skills you've now learned, show me how you would cut it if you were to go back home. And if you don't mind, just verbally talking me through what you're doing and why.
I'm not gonna cut all the way through to like this point up here because I want to be able to keep them together.
If we had a longer knife, this would be a lot easier. So I apologize for my Walmart knife.
It's fine.
I didn't have a knife in my door.
And then we're not going to cut all the way through.
It naturally gets more difficult when you get to the ends.
Yeah, and then we're gonna go like this.
We had a longer knife, this would be so much easier. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. Okay, I think that's good right there.
So we're just going for a big dice bend. You've made one cut through the horizontal, then we're going vertically on top.
Yeah. There we go.
Look at them dices. Look at that.
Yeah. All right.
How do we feel?
I feel good.
I think
feel
you
good
slayed.
about-
Look at this.
I feel good about my ability
Look.
to cut an onion.
These are cubes, and they're around the same size.
Let's go.
When you slayed. Whoop, whoop. Okay, let me make sure there's nothing else I need to be scaffolding with you. How do we? Okay, back on our little scale here. We have our 1 to 5 scale. Do you remember what
I
the
feel
tops were?
5.
Why?
Because I feel good about it.
Why?
Because I slayed.
Why?
I don't know. I just did.
Why did you slay?
Um,
How did you slay? Why did you slay?
just because like I just slayed because I got to where I needed to be.
When we have, in thinking about this process wholly, what do you think we did to get to this point besides the technique?
Probably just trial and error.
Okay, I love me some trial and error.
Yeah.
Besides that, what was our starting point, do you think?
I was just kind of like going for it. I didn't.
Okay, and we realized that maybe with some technique
Yeah.
might get to a better end result.
I needed to
And
model it.
seeing how we get to that technique, where do we start? In terms of when we picked up this onion, what did we do with this onion?
I was like just going for it. I didn't really have a technique.
Well,
No, I do.
We looked at the onion and we identified what about the onion.
The anatomy.
Using the anatomy, how did that inform your decision-making process?
I learned how they were kept together and how the things were kept together.
So therefore, in your technique, you did what?
Emergency alert system.
Yup.
The purpose of this is to maintain and improve alert warning capabilities at the federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial levels.
Slay. Okay. So the last question I asked you, or was going to ask you before I cut off, is whenever we looked at this anatomy, how did it inform your decision-making process?
Because I learned like where the stability of it is and like where the core of it is. Just like we have a skeleton and that's our like core and stuff. Like that's how
It sticks.
we stick and we like don't float away from each other.
I like how we're getting into the prophecy of the
Yeah.
human anatomy.
Yeah. This
So
is
when we
our
looked at the
body.
anatomy, what did it inform you to do in terms of your technique?
To not break the bones, not break the skeleton.
Which means in terms of onion language.
Keep the stem, keep the root on there.
Uh-huh. And whenever you're making your horizontal and vertical cuts, what did you do?
I avoided cutting through the root.
And in general,
I just like watched how I was cutting a little bit more safely.
we didn't go all the way through the onion.
No, and I was like,
Slay! I see that our self-efficacy has risen because we can do what? I mean, look at these pieces. How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel good about my abilities to cut an onion.
And what do we notice about these pieces? Especially the second time around after you did this.
They're more concise and more even.
Yup. And we got actual squares here. Look at that square. We got a whole dice. Slay. Bye, Dr. Duffin.
Goodbye.